Testing, 1, 2. Here. Let's get to the show. How you guys doing? Yeah, I'm back. All fresh faced and shit, What's going on, my people? How you guys doing? Once again, I have been suspended on TikTok. Oh, for what reasons? Hell, I don't even know no more. They just keep doing it. I don't understand. But it is what it is. I gotta figure out what I be doing. So wrong. But yeah, we're gonna have a great show for you tonight. So it's called Poisoning of Your Upbringing. The poisoning of your upbringing. Yeah, some people had some major issues that they never caused, never asked for, never wanted, but just somehow that's what they got. So let's get into the show today because we got some good WIP moments and we got some good reflective moments that we're going to tap into. So we're gonna stay a little bit more aligned. We're gonna change the functionality of the show. We're gonna do it a little different. It's gonna be better structured. Have some more, some little formatting to it, so we can have some interchangeable moments. So let me get this chat up. Make sure my chat going on real quick. Let me see. We want all that, but though we good. Yeah, we back in the game. We are back. We are here. Let everything adjust real quick. Then get settled in. Yeah, what's going on? What's going on? We are back. Well, here we go. Tonight's show, the poisoning of your upbringing. See, let's just dive into it because I think a lot of y'all want to hear some about this. It's going to be something you need to hear. All right. So check this out. Some people believe they understand the world. But the truth is, many adults are still operating from the beliefs they had when they had with them before they were old enough to question them. And sometimes those beliefs quietly poison how they see people for the rest of their lives. That's extremely unfortunate because if you understand how many relationships that you'll miss out on, how you pretty much blocked off and doxed a lot of people before you ever given them the opportunity to even comprehend who you are or who they could be or what you could do together. But see, when you understand the system in America, it just doesn't work that way. Everything is siloed into these racist silos, and everything is from an organization base. You have to belong. You have to be grouped up. You have to be categorized. You have to be or exiled, or you can't be here because you don't fit the criteria or the complexion. But let's get into it. We're going to get into more. We're going to get into more about, how people really do expel other people, and also how the poisoning of your upbringing actually shapes the foundation of how you see people today. Let's get into some more. So we want to unpack the poisoning of your upbringing and how to develop the ability to relate to people without inherited judgments. You know what I'm saying? We want to basically give you the idea of seeing things not just from the way you want to view them, but from a way that makes sense universally, not just for how you want to how they fix in your part of the world, or your part of the little piece of whatever you think you know about the little maybe town you come from, or maybe even the fact that some people may be from a big city, but you haven't experienced anything outside of that. And that's it's unfortunate, but it's true. Very much so true. So, third of all, but most importantly, I want to welcome y'all back to the Wilderness Podcast, and let's have a good episode. Let's have a nice time. And I want you to hit that like button, share, hit that like button, share, give me that like, give me that thumbs up, give me that share. You know what I'm saying? Give me some comments as well. I want you guys to stay with me. I want you to stay active with me. I want you to stay rocking with me. You know, hang on a while. Let me get to where I got to go with you. So the concept of the concept, the thing is, the influence begins very early, extremely early. Parents repeating that. Pretty much, parents do a lot of repeating of what they were taught. They and it's basically a cycle from there. They repeat what they are taught, and you have to understand the effects of transitioning that. It's transitioning also your traumas. It's transitioning also your ailments, the things that ail you or apprehend you from even having different relationships and conversations, and even sharing um, a notion with a person simply because of how you were brought up. So let's go a little further. I want you to understand you got these some takeaways for you. What did those lessons teach you, and how you understand people, or how you feel people? Yeah. So most of the society in America that we live in is based specifically on fear. Specifically on fear. And the reason why it's based on fear is because most of the time how xenophobic behavior works from how, these apparatuses that they create in government and social groups, um, even towns, neighborhoods. Um, it's all you have to be like me. You have to be with it's like a broke ass version of Hollywood everywhere. So it's the have and the have nots, because that's how that you know it's a subconscious notion that when you're in this country, you associate white with being with back in the day, you associated with white with the upside of the town, upside of town. Everything is, new and refreshed. The grass is always cut. You have you got a lot of motion, a lot of maintenance. You have a lot of business. You have a lot of business meetings. You have a lot of just a lot of activity, and all of that is e-commerce. It's money. It's exchanging. It's activity in plain sight. So all of the activity that's in plain sight, assuming that this is good business, assuming that these are not um, hostile takeovers, because it's all corporate. It looks pretty. Assuming that no one's committing a crime because it's broad daylight. People are happy and joyful and cheering, and they have all of what's going on in front of them. They just having a good old jolly time, just taking it easy. There's nothing going on here. Everybody's happy. Everybody's having a good old jolly time. What do you mean? Some of the biggest crimes are done in the daylight and in the daytime. Shit, not at night. That's just a false association with what makes people comfortable and very uncomfortable. So to break down the barriers and the terrors of propaganda and lies, they actually created these conclaves for themselves, to themselves, and also the notions that keep them there. Yeah, all these false notions. You see them all over the movies. You see them all over the series, the television shows, all of the slants that's put into culture. And they try to say, oh, we're awake, we're woke. You have one episode, and the majority of episodes that has to do with white people, you see no other kind of people. Maybe you'll see a Mexican or Hispanic, but that's also what they thrive for, that white categorization. That's basically what it is. Let's get to some more. Let's dive a little further into the poisoning of your upbringing, because these shows, people sit their children in front of the TV to consume what? Those type of episodes. So when your child has tantrums because they saw an episode of a child having a tantrum, not even and that child is gonna try you because it's not associating that they doesn't have the same parent that that child on that episode has. So if you try that same thing in your house, child, that's when you get a real good reality check. Or in some cases, maybe that is how some people and some children react in those households, but those are predicated upon how they create the shows. It's weird, but these are the ways of how you shape and shift society. You softly give it to children. You softly introduce them to um, very unhealthy things, but some people or some adults would say, "Oh, that's harmless." No, they remember that shit when they're adults. They remember everything. I promise you. Hell, I do. I remember things. Not inappropriate, but you just remember things as a child growing up. These things that shape you, mold you. They actually create the being that you're going to be in every single facet. So the poisoning of a person's upbringing, that's deeply rooted into how they are actually to charter themselves into society. Believe you me, I've worked with bosses that were so extremely socially awkward. I've worked for drunks. I've worked for people that are extremely unkempt. I've worked for and I'm talking about people that in corporate that made a lot of money. Made up shit 275, 250, a year. Nice bread, nice position. They even will position you they will place you or they will gear you into a position just so they won't have to position you above people that they're uncomfortable with you being positioned above. Catch my drift? Let's get to I'm trying to change the whip moment. We have to dive deeper into these conquests. These not these are not these are conquest of thought that you have to put into how you have to dig up these different equations that happen in your life simply because the root of your childhood. Let's dig a little further. See, persuasion in your family is a culture. Y'all know what go along in this house stays in this house. You have to go along to get along. Uh-huh. You know how it goes in your household. I hope you understand. Hey, how what people have the right to raise their children and how they feel free. But whenever that behavior leaves the home and starts causing a problem for society, then that stain goes back on what's being created. And that's who's creating this stain, who's creating this filth. The parent. Let's dive a little deeper. The child doesn't just learn from parents, they learn from the entire ecosystem of voices inside the family. There's a whole ecosystem. You got aunties, uncles, cousins, these different persuasions, even within the neighborhoods. Some neighborhood people, when everybody kind of gets along, they like each other, they function as an ecosystem. How I explain how money works, how they can, funnel it any kind of way. But this is how these systems work. So guess what? How many beliefs about people do you actually test through experience? And how many did you simply inherit from the loudest voices in your household? Was it your mama? Was your daddy who was so racist? Remember that movie American History X, where I believe it was damn, what's it? Edward Norton. He played the role, and he had a black teacher that he admired, and he admired his philosophy and ideology. And when he started talking to his father about the admiration that he had for this black teacher, his father influenced him in such a direction that he made Edward Norton mentally have disdain and started showing allegiance and behaving how his father actually wanted him to express himself to appease his father, and it winded up he winded up got him in prison for putting a man's teeth on the curb of a black man's teeth on the curb of a sidewalk and stomping it. Yeah, that much hate and hostility from his father. The expressions of how his father wanted him to behave, and he wound up in prison, learning a lot of valuable lessons. And you see, when he got to prison, his punishment, whew, it wasn't just jail. He had been sodomized, taken advantage of. He had learned a lot of valuable lessons. His best friend was, I believe that role was played by Guy Torrey, and his only friend in prison that really helped his psychosis was a black man. You see, you have to understand, your upbringing does affect and dictates how you see the world. But let's keep going. We got more to share with you. See, house rules and blind loyalty. Don't question elders and family reputation. See, that's when you start learning how to lie and keep secrets. It was taught to you, bred into you, showing you how to lie, be deceitful and destructive when necessary, because you got to keep a secret and you also got to keep a receipt. See, that blind loyalty, yeah, that's why a lot of people from a multitude of backgrounds, uh, you know, family is extremely important. Absolutely. Family is paramount. House rules, all these things matter, but in some instances and in some cultures and in some forms, hell, people will die for their family members and will uphold their wrongdoings and would even serve time in prison for a family member. Some people are molded and grown and groomed that way. Who am I to say if that's right or wrong? I wouldn't do it to my children. I wouldn't do it to my child. I wouldn't do it to anyone else's child. But that's why on this show, the Wilderness Podcast, we try to teach you how to be, and we try to help you understand how to be the best version of yourself, because you are accountable and responsible for the life that you want to live for the future. I mean, it's just what it is. Let's get to some more information and reflecting questions and diving a little deeper. What happens when the loyalty of prevents what happens when loyalty prevents understanding? When you got internal abandonment. Children suppress their voice to maintain peace too. It's a survival mechanism. Some people, some parents, will never have a real relationship with their children because they don't identify. They refuse to identify with their children. They refuse to hug and kiss and practice emotion with their children. To teach them how to act appropriately. See, being a parent requires you to keep an eye on your child, study their behaviors. And it also requires for you to reflect on yourself and study your behaviors. And how were you at that age? To give you the ability and the forethought and the foresight to govern your child, to teach them how to govern themselves. And the earlier you start, the better. At some ages, you won't, you don't practice these things when they're young, it will run away from you. You will not maintain control when they gain complete control with nothing in it. It's a big fucking difference. And I'm explaining to you why. See, parents protecting fear. A parent's hurt becomes a child's warnings. Yeah. Fear passes down through generations, eventually becomes tradition. Yeah. Most people never stop to examine their traditions between, the reality of the world and, how they've been behaving, because that's what all they know. That's all they have been subjected to. And they have not even been given the opportunity to perceive another perception. That's extremely valuable and important when it comes to developing your own narratives and developing yourself as a being to even establish a narrative. See, the thing is, growth and adult realization has a phase. It's a phase for it. When you understand the world operates through exchange, relationship building opportunities, and understanding and having the capability of expressing yourself to even have a relationship with the person, these things are extremely essential, very essential. But when your characterization or your character does not transcend to things like honor, integrity, truth, the exchange and e-commerce equally, not having to read fine print and not having to basically re look at something be re-engineered to suit you because someone feels that the version that this person has is not the version that you're going to get. You're going to get one suitable for you. So why can I have the same pay that guy has? Because they're different. What are you saying? I'm black and they're white, so their value is higher than mine simply because what they demand and what you feel like you can pay me. I need the same outfit or better than that person has, depending on my skill set. And if you're gonna uncut me or undergrade me for my skill set, well, that's tis. That's poor. That's awful. But it's also what it establishes, the narrative of what you create. It's racist. It's pure disgusting and it's despicable. But people practice it on a continuum because they were raised like that. It's embedded in them. But it's the poisoning of their upbringing that creates you know, um, these illusions of power and all types of things. It even creates a manner of thinking that because you look a certain way, you're smarter than a person, and that's so far from the truth. You get it? You really understand that's extremely far from the truth because if you look a certain way, you're smarter than a person? Man, some people are so shallow. Let's just say that. So the thing is, experiencing different people and observing behavior, the ability to relate to people, the ability to relate to people, uh, is not inherited through learning. It's not inherited. It is learning through experience, interaction, and reflection. You can't inherit certain things. You got to be taught that. Children, babies, and children that's not in them. Those things have to be woven into a child. They have to be trained a specific kind of way. And even when they fight against their uh mental and subconscious oppression and suppression because they can't like who they like. They can't be who they truly are. And some people lose complete identity with that person because of what it takes to survive in the world that they survive in. You have to not like no one else. You have to not like black people specifically. You have to not like them. If you like them, you weaken us. If you have any empathy and sympathy for black people, you're weakening us as a race. We don't deal with those people. They're not white. But what they really want to say is they're not like us. And they're doing that now too. They're not like us. You can't deal with them people. That weakening's us. It's wild. It's crazy. But that's how some people. That's the only defense. Hate is the only defense of some people. And then when you explain and you can articulate their ways of hating, you somehow become a damn a villain. How? I'm only expressing my experiences, my exchanges, and things that I have noticed happen repetitively dealing with certain people. Not all, not all. Hell, I've even experienced somehow how I wasn't talking about nobody black. I've experienced these type of things from black people as well. Shh, don't tell nobody, but you know it. It's true. Look at all of the not all. I'm sorry. I will never put people in never put people in a box. I don't even put all Caucasians, Europeans in a box at all. I find myself having great conversations and very pivotal conversations with people that I know that just so happen to be Caucasian. And some people that have had struggles with communicating with because they were black and they were not American. Had struggles. And I guess the reason why I had those struggles because I couldn't relate to them because of their positioning and how they wanted to position me. See, sometimes dealing with people that look like you, that are melanated like you, that relationship has to do with control as well because somebody wants to be on top and somebody wants you to play the fool. So be careful with those relationships as well because they're not always so chummy. I hope you understand. All right, let's get to the next uh philosophical thought. Let's jump back into this upbringing thing. See, your upbringing gives you a beginning, but adulthood gives you something more powerful. The ability to examine what you inherit. Some beliefs deserve to stay. Some deserve to evolve. Some must be released so you can meet people with curiosity instead of inherited judgment. The world becomes much larger when you learn how to relate to people without the fears of past guidances of your perspective. With the past, let me correct it, the past guiding your perspective. So you got to think a moment. You got to really sit and think about a moment. How do you want to move forward? When I just explained to you this one true moment, this one true fact right here, the world does get a lot larger the more interesting people are to you. And we have to stop, even with these groups that we have of people, they're extremely important. Don't get me wrong. It's how we define ourselves. So, and it's who you associate with. So, what are my natural associations? As an indigenous Black American, I associate with FBAs. As an American Indian, I'm going to associate with fellow American Indians if they identify that, and if I would identify with that. And if they don't, that's fine with me. So those are my close groups. Those who I identify with. Those are the people I identify with closely. Those are interchangeable terms and interchangeable identities that exist right here in North America. And that's from California to New York to Florida, Texas, everything in between, stops at the Canadian border. So those people identify with, and even Canadians. There are some Canadians that are indigenous Black Americans. Canada is America. It's not technically America because they don't want to be called Americans. I don't want to be offensive to anyone. Canada is Canada, so I would call them indigenous Black Canadians. So indigenous Black Americans, indigenous Black Canadians, indigenous Black Mexicans, they're indigenous Black, everybody. But the foundation, the reason why I understand the terminology of foundational Americans, foundational, you want to say Black Americans, that's fine too. Because normally the people that did build everything in the Americas and who is the root of the Americas, it's not always should be associated with who came off a ship or something like that. That was a very small, extremely small amount of people, like 20,000 or so. They try to make the number. No, a lot. My people are indigenous here. They've been here longer than anybody. The records prove that. That's just factual. I don't give a damn how you deal with it, but you could associate my copper colored race with just being right here. My dark melanated copper colored black face right here in the Americas. Nowhere else. And why does that mean that has to be with hating anybody else? Does a Jamaican say he's a black Jamaican? He just said he's Jamaican, just like I'm an American. You ain't gotta add all of that shit to it because there's damn sure a whole lot of Chinese, East Indians, and a lot of people that live in Jamaica. Well, how about Trinidad and Tobago? Same damn thing. Let's tiptoe and why are there no black Argentinians? Oh, because they wiped them out. They got rid of them. They pushed them into favelas. They pushed them the hell out of pushed them into Chile. They pushed them the hell out of Argentina. Extremely racist. Formidably racist in Argentina. All of the South American countries are very color struck. Yeah, all of them. And you all know. And I'm grateful to I want to give a shout out to the Afro Latinos. Man, y'all strong, you champions. I appreciate, you guys' perspective. And you have been a champion for speaking about the sadistic racism and you guys as coach for quite some time. And I think that's I champion with you. I salute you, Afro Latinos, for telling the truth. Because you got a bunch of boy, I feel for the Latin culture when it comes to Afro Latinos that have to deal with that despicable shit and act like it ain't really happening. But the world knows it. The world knows Latin America. You treat your dark melanated brothers and sisters and cousins awful. And there's a lot of jealousy because they're extremely beautiful. Afro Latino women are extremely gorgeous ladies. They're beautiful ladies. Oh yeah, they are. You know, and some of the guys, they just pretty much slide into they do. A lot of the guys from, the darker skinned melanated guys, they slide within the black American men because they identify with our customs, the way we treat our women. They have good mannerisms, you know what I'm saying? They blend in with us quite well. So I don't like separation. You know what I'm saying? I just like people that have a very good natured way about themselves, that are very respectful, very genuine, that have integrity. You know what I'm saying? Those things mean they mean everything when you building relationships because your upbringing teaches you one thing, living your own life teaches you a whole nother form of operating. So you don't have to deal with so many characterizations of people. You just get to live a life that you want to live the proper way you should live with the proper interchanging and exchangeable relationships that you have with respect, honor, truth, reciprocity, and justice. Cheating people, getting over on people, lying to people, becoming a goddamn a menace to society, you're gonna get smoked out. You're gonna get found out. And you're gonna have a very you'll get a reputation as far as being not you can't deal with you, you're difficult, or you everything about you, there's a problem, and you have a problem with everybody. See, when you have a problem with everybody, you should understand there's a common denominator. That's you. That's all you, pimp. That's all you. If everybody seems to aggravate you and you seem to have a problem and a notion and you can't get over yourself, that's because of there's some things you've been hanging on to. Probably since your upbringing, your childhood. You might have some trauma you need to talk to someone. You need to get someone to see about that. It's never too late to get any help. That's why I don't do a whole lot of bashing on the show. We try to have solutions and we try to help resolve people's conflicts within themselves because there a lot of times helping yourself is just making a call. Helping yourself is making that step to get you some help. Not always relying on someone else because you may know you need help and you may have to ring that bell yourself. You got to position yourself to do so. Stop positioning your ego. You're okay. You're this. No, you're not. Not so much. And a lot of times, some things have to do with changing your environment. Sometimes you got to get away from your family, garner a new perspective, get control of your own mentality. Sometimes you could be force fed a mentality that doesn't work for you. You have to rediscover your own mentality, and that takes sometimes separating. Just to develop, just to grow, doesn't mean you hate anybody, doesn't mean you don't like your family. None of that. You have to separate to grow. You have to separate to rely on self. That's resilience. That's how you build resilience. That's how you build character. That's how you build relationships outside of your family. That's how you are able to develop and be successful in the world, as long as your track record is tracking properly, meaning not becoming a fucking menace. Yeah. So I will be doing more content, from this position, because I think people need to understand that they have root embedded issues from childhood. Childhood. That's where a lot of people's problems start from, and they never recover. And it's sad. That's a sad. It's nothing to make fun of, but it's something that actually needs attention, direct attention to. And these things exist within adult people right now that are 50 and 60 years old. These same issues that happen within their childhood, their development, they never seem to get over that hump. They never really got beyond 15 years old mentally. They never seem to develop. Their behaviors never changed because of their upbringing. And a lot of attention needs to be brought into what stalled the mind. Who stalled you? Could be your mother, your father, your uncle. Could have been trauma from your siblings. All of these things you should readdress. Put a little attention to it, focus on, so that you can turn that page in your life and become something else, something that you want to be. Develop a skill that you want. Overcome adversity. Overcome some type of challenge. But it takes focus, and most of all, you have to learn how to focus. And a lot of times, the reason why we break our focus is because these little childhood tantrums, these little childhood inks, these things keep you away from self-mastery. They've been there from a very young age, a very, very, very young age. So they keep you away from mastering. So the longer it takes you to deal with your childhood traumas, the longer it's going to take for you to participate into your full adult self. Doesn't say you got to throw away your childhood. Doesn't say you got to throw away the actual elements that you still have from when you were a child, like learning. Some things you keep, your childlike heart, nature, the way with operating, the way you can even communicate and go back and forth with your child because you understand what they needed and what you wanted and desired as a child. See how that repetition goes? Repetition is good. Teaching your children repetition is extremely good because repetition is something you do inherently. You wake up every day and should be grateful for that. And you got a problem with repetition? What if you stop breathing? That's repetition. Put repetition into action so that you can outrun your childhood failures. Keep proper things into repetition, like health, cleanliness, the things that you feed your mind, outside influences, how you conduct yourself, and who you exchange with and who you desire to exchange with. Yo, that's the show. Thank you guys for tuning into the Wilderness Podcast. Again, we will be discussing more about the poisonesses of upbringing. We'll be doing more content about, sociological frameworks and aspects of life. We're going to try to work on changing the trajectory of this show so that we can give you more solution-based content, more engagement, and we can have a better a better exchange, a better conversation, better communication. So for this show, I would love for you guys to leave your comments, like, share, subscribe, but please leave your comments. If you want to further the conversation, we can do that too. I'm game for it. We're going to be diving into other topics, but this one I want you to just engage with me. Leave some comments. Let me know how you feel. Let me know what you think. That's the show tonight. I appreciate you. This is the Wheelless Podcast. And you know this is the favorite part. The wheel is yours. Don't ever forget that. We stay true to that. Stay true to yourself because it's true. The will is yours. You know it. Peace.